Even if your world falls down, get yourself up off the ground. And since you know the pain has its own path, just be strong because pain won't last forever.
Today, are you feeling a little alone? People's true colors are starting to show. Did you get dumped by that special someone? Or much worse off, did you lose a dear loved one? So are you? Hi, all my favorite RPers out there in RPville. USA, UK, Australia, anywhere around the world you happen to be, South Africa, anywhere. Welcome to Season 2. This is a very quick impromptu episode that just happened because I just received a phone call from Rick, another guy with RP who's an instructor at the Lighthouse of Collier here in Naples, Florida, asking me to go walk a half mile down the street to help another RPer named Frank, who I mentioned in Season 1. He's 81 years old. He has Usher's Syndrome, meaning he lost his vision completely in 1984, I believe. He's been married twice. Both his wives died on him. And he used to be a trader on Wall Street. But with Usher Syndrome, he has also lost almost all of his hearing. But anyway, this is an interesting episode because Rick called me to see if I could go over and help Frank unlock his iPhone. As I always make mention of, I'm an Android guy because they're much cheaper. Frank is an iPhone guy. Rick that called me is an iPhone guy. So, as my tattoo here says, I don't know if you can see it from this view or not, the blind leading the blind. And there's the jokers, or the comedy tragedy symbol that you see in drama a lot, which RP is a comedy and a tragedy. That's why all these tattoos I'll talk about on some episode, that theme resonates throughout, and it's always about vision. One of the guys doesn't have any eyes, and the other guy has eyes, but they're sewed shut. That's a different story. I'm in a hurry because I'm on my way to go out the door. I've got my cane ready to go because I've got to walk over there. I'll have to have my cell phone with me. Got my umbrella because I've got to get this finished before it rains because I don't want to get my hair wet. But this is going to be funny. Well, hopefully I can interview Frank and that won't be too funny. He's a great guy, super inspirational. But it's technically the blind, Rick leading the blind, me leading the blind and deaf, and Frank, to help an Apple iPhone user unlock his cell phone. I've never used an iPhone, don't know a damn thing about them, so when I get to Frank's house, I have to call Rick. Rick's going to talk me through how to try to unlock Frank's cell phone. I don't know that we'll be filming any of that. I'll just tell you whether or not it worked. And hopefully we get lucky. Anyway, welcome to Season 2. My name's David. I'm just a regular guy living down here in Naples, Florida. I'm your host, although definitely not with the most. I used to teach, then I moved to the beach. Living the dream, if you know what I mean. Regardless of dealing with defective genes, visual, eye, retinal genes. I also have MS, but I'm happy to say I just had an appointment with my neurologist yesterday, went over my MRI results, and they came back spectacular. Nothing has gotten worse since my last checkup, so I had to pause right there in the middle of my Dr. Suits meets Dr. Dre intro rhyme that I do. There have been times, however, sadness I've felt, just like you have. Comedy, tragedy. When the tragedy hits, you feel sad. When the comedy hits, you have a good laugh sometimes. It's one of the things I love about the Facebook groups is we get to share all of those things and have a good laugh, and we all relate to them. But I just keep playing the hands I've been dealt, just as you need to do as well. Life doesn't suck, you'll eventually see. Not with MS. Like I said, I had a great appointment yesterday, so I'm feeling good. Not with RP. So, remember my 5 domains of happiness, cognitive. This is going to be a cognitive exercise to see if Rick with RP can talk David
with RP who doesn't know anything about iPhones, who can talk Frank with Ushers, including RP, how to unlock his cell phone. Emotional, I'm excited in case you can't tell. This is going to be a fun challenge for me. I'm looking forward to it. Social, not so much, other than it's fun talking to Rick. Or it's, well, he's fun to talk to, but it's fun talking to Frank too to get his perspective on life, being that he's 81 years old and lost his vision completely 34 years ago. Physical, well, I do have to walk a half mile over to Frank's house. And ring the doorbell, knock on the door, and hope that he can hear me to answer it. And moral, I think, is the best domain that should be represented in this episode. So I have no idea. I'm going to take my camera with me. Bit of the neighborhood maybe as I walk down the street. I can't waste too much of the battery though, because I want to interview Frank and I want you guys to meet Frank, so hopefully he's cool with letting me do that. Remember, I'm a PhD, big deal. I'm not an MD is the point. I can't give you medical advice. Not a lawyer, can't give you legal advice. I am not a counselor, although Rick is the first guy who's going to talk me through how to fix or unlock this iPhone. He can give counseling advice. But today he's going to just be telling me, the Android user, how to unlock an iPhone. And this is just my personal story of craziness and awesomeness living here in paradise. Weather's beautiful, and hopefully this all goes well and I can get to Frank's house in the next 15 minutes or so and we can get this done. So I'll let you know how it turns out. Hopefully it doesn't start pouring rain as I'm walking there, walking back, because I'm having a pretty good hair day. I'm such a girl about stuff like that. Anyway, remember I have an email address if you want to talk about or ask me about anything related to this particular channel. It's getyourselfup1@gmail.com. The name of the YouTube channel is Get Yourself Up. Please share it with people that have RP or caregivers or RP or people with relatives or other loved ones that have RP. We're all here with each other to help each other, and right now I'm trying to help Frank and Rick is trying to help me help Frank, and Rick in turn will help me do other things in the future. He doesn't know about them yet, but it's coming, and I'm going to help his wife with something on the 31st, so that might become an episode itself. So like I said in season 1, that's just to get the ball rolling. Season 2, now we're starting doing the real stuff, getting involved with some important people that can give you techniques or ideas or whatever. So I gotta shut it down now. Okay, that was my formerly from Wisconsin accent. I gotta shut it down now. I have to turn the camera down now so I don't use up the battery, and I am going to walk over to Frank's house and hopefully we can get this problem resolved. I make no guarantees, but I guarantee you I will try my best to help out somebody in need. Always, always, always remember, there are people worse off than you, people worse off than me. Help them out, they need it. Just be a good person and take care of people who need help. Can't stress that enough. Anyway, gotta run, gotta head out the door. I might take a couple shots of the neighborhood as I'm walking over to Frank's house. And of course I got my sunglasses with me. I have my sunglasses with me. And getting ready to make the walk and hope I don't get drenched in the rain. See you guys in a bit. Okay, so I'm out in my front yard now. That's not my car. I let the neighbors park here for free. My lawn's all torn up from all the pool trucks that have come through to bring stuff for the swimming pool in the backyard. Here's my cane, I've got it with me, and I've got to head down, hang a left at the end of the street here, then hang a right on 106th. And knock on Frank's door and hopefully we can get this problem solved. Here we go. Got to bring my pad of paper with me so I don't accidentally knock on the wrong door. Got my cane here. Notice this huge drainage ditch. I've come close to falling in that a few times, so the cane does come in handy. Not gonna lie. But there's a house for sale right here if you want to be my neighbor 2 doors down. Hello. Just said a nice hello from a nice neighbor walking her dog. Yeah, anybody want to be my neighbor? There you go. You can live 2-3 houses away from me, and you are good. Naples, Florida. Alright, I'm going to shut this down. I guess I'll show you one more house here. The newest one that was just built on the block that people just moved into. And then I'll shut it down and get to Frank's house. Try to help him out with his iPhone. And I almost dropped my cane because I'm trying to do 3 things at the same time. Anyway, beautiful house that was just constructed and now people have moved into. So when I get here, I'm going to hang a left, go up 3 streets, hang a right, and get to Frank's house. So, shutting it down. Okay.
There we go.
Everybody, in case you can see, I'm sweatier than I was a few minutes ago,
Okay.
and I need a beer.
I got it. Hey, help yourself, no problem.
I've got it. So, I was interviewing Frank, and then I had what I call, I'm not sure, either an RP moment or a stupid moment, in that right in the middle of our interview, the battery died on the camera, and I didn't have a backup because I didn't know we were going to be doing this today. So, rushed home. This is Belle, by the way, who is a beautiful Chihuahua. You might want to hold her up a little bit. Face the
There you
stove.
go. Face the camera.
See, how is that for a guide dog, right?
She's my mini guide dog.
Mini guide dog, yep. Anyway, as I was saying before, Frank was a trader on Wall Street. He's got Usher Syndrome, meaning he lost his vision completely by 1984. He's 81 years old. Hearing, what I noticed when you and I were riding on the Paratransit shuttle together, that we could have a conversation like we're having now as long as I speak loudly and clearly, but when the radio dispatcher would call in, I could tell how painful that was to your ears.
Oh
And
yeah, it's well, actually, when you're carrying on a conversation and all of a sudden that radio cuts in, it blocks out everything I'm hearing. You know.
right.
So, let's put it this way: I can only hear one thing at a time. So,
Casey didn't hear what he said that we're laughing at. He said,
yeah.
put it this way, I can only hear one thing at a
I
time.
can
Not a
hear-
conversation and a radio dispatcher.
Exactly. So,
Just one. That's all right. The other thing that was funny that you said, funny to me anyway, when I first walked in, because I still have some central vision left, Frank asked me if I wanted the lights turned on, because in your case, it doesn't matter if the lights are on, right?
I save a lot of money on electricity.
See? The guy's got a sense of humor. Saves money on electricity because he doesn't need to turn the lights on. I, on the other hand, am in the middle stages of, obviously I've been night blind since birth, but I still have central vision. So when I come into a new house, this is Frank's house, by the way. We're in the kitchen area. dining area. And so I have my cane here with me. I named it Able because, you know, I'm pretty able with my cane. And another friend of mine, Carolina, she lives up in Sarasota. She named her cane Seymour.
Oh.
Seymour the cane, yeah. And smartest woman I ever met, also very humble. She's from Venezuela and
wow.
speaks Spanish fluently. Went to med school in Venezuela and decided she didn't want to be a doctor in Venezuela. So instead, she packed everything up, taught herself English in 1 year, and enrolled in college here in the United States. And that was a number of years ago, and she's been here ever since. She has retinitis pigmentosa and knows a number of people with Usher Syndrome. So I just bring her up because same kind of sense of humor, we all have to laugh, that sort of thing. Okay, so you've been married twice.
Yes.
And can you tell the people there a little bit about what happened or what your marriages were like? Both your wives passed away.
Yeah, both my wives passed away. My first wife passed away at age 73. Actually, this is kind of, how am I going to say this? Both of them were the same age when they passed away.
Both passed when they were 73.
Yeah. My first wife passed away in 2010. She was driving to her gym and suffered a heart attack while she was still in her vehicle. So,
Heart attack driving to the gym.
so
Wow.
but we had been divorced by that time about 6 years. But anyway, still, you know, she was the mother of my children, and
Right.
you know, it hit home a little bit.
Yeah.
And then my second wife, Judy, she passed away in 2014 from diabetes and severe diabetes anyway.
In case you can't hear exactly what he said, his second wife, Judy, passed away in 2014 from diabetes. So that was 4 years ago.
4.5 years ago to be exact. So
4.5. And you've been living on your own.
I've been living on my own since she passed away, and me and my little bodyguard here, and
Belle the bodyguard.
that's about it. You know, I live a day at a time, do what I can do, and take care of myself best I can. And 3 times a week I go to the Lighthouse of Collier, and that's where David and I met. And hey, I live life as best as I can.
Which is awesome, because that's exactly what I do. It's so ironic. Frank and I ended up in the same neighborhood, a half mile from each other. I'm drinking a beer because Rick, who got us together to get to work on helping Frank with his iPhone, told Frank that my payment was one of Rick's beers. So Frank doesn't really drink, but he allows Rick to keep beer in his refrigerator. So I said, damn it, I'm going to take you up on that. And
you're not underage, are you?
I'm not what?
You're not underage, are you?
I'm underage. Well, let's see. No.
Anyway, but
Not even close. I wish I was, actually.
yeah, you and I both. So anyway, I don't think Rick's gonna appreciate you dipping into his beer supply.
Rick doesn't have a choice. He's not here. I'll see him later. He can try to get one back from me. But as you can see, Frank, what I focus on this channel, or what I refer to as my 5 domains of happiness, which starts with cognitive, using your brain.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Keeping up on things, social, more important to some people than to other people. And we'll talk about your fishing in a few minutes. Frank loves fishing. Emotional, which is huge when people are losing their vision and your hearing, and dealing with that. Physical, staying in shape. Look how good of shape Frank is in. 81 years old?
81.
And what do you do for exercise?
I do light weights every other day. Well, actually, I try to keep it to 3 times a week. Light weights, and I do my exercise bike in the morning as I get up. Every morning, as soon as I get out of bed, I jump on my bike and pedal pedal for a half hour. And then I make my breakfast, take care of Beauty here, make sure she's fed. Put on the coffee and start the day.
And I'm so glad you brought up your bike, because you have a stationary bike, and I do the same thing, and with the physical domain. I had an appointment yesterday with my neurologist because I have multiple sclerosis in addition to retinitis pigmentosa. And yeah, fun for me. I won the lottery twice with medical stuff. But anyway, that's a big part of it, because I used to be a runner. Obviously I'm not anymore, but he said I'm in great shape, so that was a nice compliment. And we talked about that, but I have a recumbent stationary bike out back on my back lanai, and so I can ride that, and then I have a swimming pool, so as soon as I get overheated, I just hop in the pool and cool off, and my neurologist was so thrilled, impressed with that. So it's combining physical along with cognitive. I used my brain to come up with that plan as to how to stay in shape. You know what? Ride the recumbent stationary bike like I do, like Frank does. You don't need vision for that.
No.
Stay healthy. And when I get overheated from the MS and my muscles and my legs stop working, I can still just get in the shallow end of my swimming pool and totally cool down, and then I'm good to go. So, but this is about Frank today, not about me, but I'm glad you brought that up. And the 5th domain I talk about is moral. In that it's important, I think, to help out people who have things worse off than I do. And a lot of people forget about that, I think, that have RP or Usher Syndrome or other disabilities, that it's so simple to have a pity party and we naturally, understandably feel sorry for ourselves. And we forget there are people, so many more people out there that are so much worse off than any of us.
Absolutely, David. So I have, I'm hearing impaired and I can't see, but believe me, there are people out there that are a lot worse off than I am. You try to encourage everybody by doing the best you can and showing them that, just because you can't see or you're a little bit hearing impaired, you can still do things for yourself.
Absolutely. And that's one of those things I try to reiterate regularly on this show is basically it's telling this story of my life, my daily situations, good or bad, funny, sad, whatever, with RP and MS. But it's not showing off by any means as to like, look what I can do, I'm capable of this and that and that. It's just showing what can be done, and sometimes you just need to see that somebody else can do it, that can be very inspirational. And just seeing you with what your situation you've gone through is so inspirational to me. You're 81, I'm 51, so yes, I am old enough to have beer. But I can only hope in 30 years that I'm in as good a shape as you obviously are. And
let me put it this way. I try to get, you know, excuse me, I'm sorry.
bless you.
It would be easy for somebody to just sit back and just do nothing and just, you know, let the time go by. But why? When you can still function, you can still do things that you like to do. Some of the things you would have to do in a different way, but you can still enjoy the things that you formerly enjoyed. You know, it's just it's a matter of saying to yourself, "Hey, okay, so I have to alter course a little bit and take the left turn or take a right turn and do it differently, but I can still do it." So,
And to the audience out there, this is a totally unrehearsed interview. I cannot make this stuff up, but what Frank is saying is the same thing I say on almost every single episode. You just have to change the way you do certain things, and don't give up doing the things you love enjoying if you can still do them. Some things obviously maybe not, but there are plenty of other things. Absolutely, that's what makes people happy. Why would you give that up just because you're losing your vision or losing your hearing? You used to love fishing, which is one thing that has changed in your situation, because going out on a boat when you're blind and hearing impaired, you have to have partners to fish with.
yeah, but you know, actually, once I got on the boat, you know, a friend of mine had his own boat, and we went out on that boat for quite a few years, a good 2-3 times a week, and I knew my way around that boat better than he did.
And how long ago was that?
I'm going back now, maybe 15 years ago.
15 years ago. So you had lost all your vision already at that point.
Yeah.
So you're talking like 2003 maybe?
15 years ago was 2000, yeah, around 2003.
Yeah. And you were still fishing. Was it out here in the Gulf of Mexico, or was it freshwater fishing?
The Gulf of both, the combination of both. We used to go out on this boat. We used to go up Key Wading Island, fish around there and around the Naples pier. But we couldn't get in too close because the people on the pier would start yelling at us.
Yeah.
So
that's where all the dolphins are, though.
Yeah, the dolphins and.
If you ever want to see dolphins, come to Naples, Florida, and go out to the pier, because the fishermen are out on the pier and the fisherwomen, and the dolphins are smart enough to know that, so they hang out by the pier and they'll do little tricks for you. But if you're on a boat, that might make those other people not so happy, right?
Definitely. And we'd once in a while we'd go up right off Marco Island. And
Marco Island.
That whole area. So like I said, getting out on the boat never bothered me. I didn't have any trouble maintaining my balance and stuff as long as and once I got to know the boat, that was the end of that deal. As a matter of fact, my friend would sit in the other seat and say, "Okay, you take it over, and I'll just tell you which way to steer," and you know, no problem.
And you did it.
Yeah, we did it.
See?
So,
and I keep telling people that too. Some of this stuff you do it differently, but you end up having more fun doing it the new way than you probably would have had the old way.
so,
This was funny too when I went to my neurologist appointment yesterday. Well, it wasn't funny at the time, but it is now. Took the Paratransit shuttle, and the guy that drove it had no idea where he was going. Didn't speak any English, which is okay with me because the GPS can still tell him where to go. But he still got completely lost to the point I had to call in to dispatch myself and talk to the lady and say, "This driver has no idea how to get to this doctor's office." And it was to the point where I finally said, you know what, just hand me the damn keys. I will drive the bus there. I might hit a few trees, mailboxes, and other cars along the way, but damn it, I will get to this doctor's appointment if it's the end of all of us. Because you are obviously not going to get us there. So, I can look back and laugh now. Unfortunately, my neurologist has a great sense of humor.
That is not a pleasant situation to be in.
No, and I was talking with Rick about that earlier today, and a lot of people that are watching this channel right now, or when it gets uploaded and they can view it, take Paratransit. It has different names in different cities around the world, but we all have stories, nightmares of things that can go wrong, and yesterday was one of those days. I've been late for 4 of my last 5 doctor's appointments. And I always just have to call and apologize and say, I'm on my way. But you guys know I take Paratransit. And if the driver gets lost, I can't drive the bus to get us there. So fortunately, they're all cool with that. And everything is good.
Well, I had that happen to me last week.
Last week?
As a matter of fact, a week ago from today. I was supposed to be picked up at 3 o'clock. I get a call about 2. There's no no driver available, so we can't send the bus to pick you up.
Nice.
So I said, what do you suggest? That I walk home? So,
and how far is this from your house?
and that I didn't even get a response on that, but fortunately, Wendy and Rick were heading that I got a ride home with them. But still, I got home like 2.5, 3 hours later than I was supposed to.
Yeah. Thank God for Rick and Wendy, right?
Really.
Yeah. And Belle.
And Belle was hopping around like she was ready to do your tap dance. She had to go outside so bad.
Poor thing.
So, but anyway, it worked out.
Excellent. Let me ask you this then, since we're talking about Belle. I get asked this regularly by people because I don't have a guide dog. I have no interest in getting a guide dog at this point.
Let me correct you here. Belle is not a guide dog.
Correct. That's where I'm going with this.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You don't have one either.
No.
Seeing eye dog, as they used to be called, and they still sort of are. And my question for you is, I know why I choose not to have one. Why do you choose not to have one?
Actually, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm lazy. In certain aspects, I'm lazy.
Lazy, okay.
Because, a guide dog is a much bigger dog than this little baby here.
Right.
And it requires a lot more work.
Right.
And personally, I just didn't, it doesn't interest me to have a guide dog. Because I can get around with my cane. I know my neighborhood like the back of my hand.
Because you've lived here since 1985, right?
Yes, exactly. So I'm not going on any cross country hikes or anything. Well, actually, I've done that, but
okay.
but that was a little while ago.
Right.
But, I feel comfortable. I don't really need a full-size guide dog. So, but this little baby came into my hands quite not intentionally. I didn't go out looking for a dog. My next door neighbor, she belonged to my next door neighbor, and they had to leave town. And he had gotten a job somewhere else, and I couldn't take the dog with them. And they asked me if I would take her. And of course, I said yes. And she was, at that time, she was, she was 3 years old.
Okay.
And she's 8 years old now.
Wow.
I've had her for 5 years. So it's me and Belle.
You and Belle. Yeah. Because I get asked that a lot about why don't I get a seeing eye dog? And same kind of answer that you just gave, A lot of work. They only know so many tricks. And I actually, when I was in one of my crazy moods, my PhD was in instructional technology, but I focused on the philosophy of technology. And I saw on CBS this morning, they were interviewing this professor at MIT who is the head of the robotics department.
Okay.
And it popped into my head, I need to email this professor, which I did, and said, have you considered, because with all the technology now with GPSs that can tell cars where to go, self-driving cars, they still aren't perfect, but they're getting better, creating robotic guide dogs that I can't take my regular guide dog and say, I would like to go to the grocery store, lead the way. The dog's not smart enough, well, they aren't trained, whatever, to do that. But with the technology, it seems to me, and she responded and said, that's actually a great idea we've never thought of and never discussed. But I would consider it and say, yes, Rover or Robo or whatever my dog's name is, I want to go to Trader Joe's and get a 6-pack of beer or whatever. And the dog would already know how to get there, could understand my commands, just like your iPhone that we just got up and running a little while ago. If that technology exists, put it together, then I might have a use for it. And I mentioned that, and some people disagreed with me completely because they're like, but I love animals and I love dogs. I'm like, that's great, but if that doesn't meet your full needs, then sometimes technology can be a good thing, and sometimes, as we learned today, it can be a pain in the butt.
Yeah, well, according to technology, if you can develop a guide dog, a robotic guide dog, at least you won't have to walk around with a pooper scooper. That's number one.
There's that. A battery charger, maybe. Yeah.
That's all you need. So, anyway,
what do you think of that idea? Was that a crazy idea I came up with?
I'd like to go one step further. Why don't they make a robotic person?
Okay.
They can do that.
You could just tell them where to go and they do everything for you.
Exactly. We can walk hand in hand and nobody knows the difference.
I can't make this stuff up, people. This is exactly what I love about doing this channel. I never know what I'm going to get. In every episode, there's something that happens. I'm like, no, really, I can't make this up. This is awesome. So, we should probably end on a semi-educational, more serious note, I guess, maybe. Is there anything you can think of to share? A lot of people don't know what Usher Syndrome is. Could you take a minute and explain what it's like or how it happened in your life?
Usher Syndrome is a combination of blind and deafness. So when you, in other words, like people that have RP develop, and this is not true for all cases.
Right.
So, like some people will develop a hearing problem along the way, and in combination with your RP. So, and I don't know what causing the hearing problem that just sort of popped up by itself. So, and they said, "Hi guys, I'm going to make your situation a little more difficult because I think you can handle it." I said, "Yeah, says who?" But anyway, that's the story.
Good.
It's
And so, obviously, you were probably night blind when you were a kid, like the rest of us with RP.
Definitely. That's
What age were you when you got the official diagnosis? Do you remember?
I was 17 years old.
17. So, do the math. 81 minus 17.
But
however many years ago that was. They already knew what RP was at that point.
Yeah, but at that time, it was, according to what they were saying at that time, it was a relatively rare disease. And when I was first diagnosed, it wasn't as advanced. I mean, I still was able to function normally. I was still driving,
right,
and doing crazy things that most normal people do,
right,
and
right.
you know, and until I was 45 years old. And then all of a sudden the lights went out in 1984.
Lights went out in 1984 when you were 45 years old.
45. Well, 1984, I was actually 47, so
Oh.
close enough.
Yeah, in the ballpark. So we live in the same neighborhood. It's called Naples Park here in North Naples, Florida, Southwest Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And you moved here in 85, but the lights went out in 84.
Yes.
So technically you don't know or have never seen the actual neighborhood.
No, not
Correct.
really. Not really.
But
I have let's put it this way. When you lose your sight, you don't lose your vision. Does that sound crazy?
no,
Okay.
not at all.
But once you form a picture in your mind of what something looks like, so that's what you go with. What do you want, bud? You gotta go pee-pee? I'm sorry. You better cut that one out.
No, that's okay.
Sorry, but
It's
you gotta,
all real.
You gotta go outside?
If she needs to go outside,
Come
we
here, let
can
me
let
see
her
if you gotta
outside.
go. Bud, you gotta go?
She just might be tired of this interview.
Okay. But anyway, you know, in the beginning when I first came here, I didn't know what the heck, you know, what was where was what.
Yeah.
Then I started cutting the grass. That was a
Cutting the
joke.
grass completely
And, well, I
blonde.
was mowing my lawn up until just about a little over 2 years ago.
We are back. The battery died for the second time, so this is take 3.0. Continuing on. Frank, I wanted you, before we go, two things. Talk a little bit about your experience trading on Wall Street with your vision going from the retinitis pigmentosa, how you came to that conclusion yourself that that was not the job for you. And then maybe it's some advice you have for other people with Ushers and or RP.
Well, first of all, let me state this. I love my job on Wall Street. I mean, I really enjoyed it. It was a wonderful time.
As stressful as that was.
Believe it or not, the more stressful it was, the better I enjoyed it.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, I was on the floor when President Kennedy was assassinated. The day President Kennedy was assassinated. And
In case you guys didn't hear that, he just said he was on the floor in Wall Street trading the day President Kennedy was assassinated.
And you talk about pandemonium.
Pandemonium.
Total. But aside from that, it was a fun job. I mean, it was like more or less it's like a close-knit family, you know. I mean, even though we were busy but in between, like we'd have some slow times, like around Thanksgiving time, we'd hire a guy to play the piano on the floor of the exchange during the Christmas holidays.
Nice.
And you know, a couple of the guys would go out for lunch, and maybe they have a little more martini than they should have.
That was back in the days of the 2 martini lunches.
Exactly.
We don't have those anymore.
Exactly.
You get fired now if you had martinis at lunch.
And they come around, and we sit around, stand around the piano, and they sing Christmas carols and whatever. But you know, it was. How can I explain it? It was different. You'll never see those times again. Okay?
No.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Most likely not.
And but you know, getting back to my RP and being on the floor. Obviously, anybody that's familiar with RP knows that you can't go running around because your peripheral vision is just about gone.
Yes.
And you know, you're liable to run into somebody or run into an object, and which I've done a couple of times. And people
We
get
all
the,
have.
and people get the idea that, hey, maybe this guy's, he's hitting the bottle too much. Or something.
More than 2 martinis at lunch.
Exactly.
Maybe
So,
6 or 7. Yeah.
And when it came to, finally one day I said to myself, you know what, I got to talk to somebody. So I was working for one person and I spoke to him. And I said to him, this is my situation, you know my eyesight is, what's happening with my eyesight. And I explained to him, he said, I understand. He said, I feel bad that you have to give up your career now. So I said, hey, that's the way it is.
And that's one of the things that Frank and I were talking about when the battery was recharging was whether it's up to your employer to tell you that you're no longer working for them anymore due to your vision, your retinitis pigmentosa, or you come to that conclusion yourself. And you came to it yourself.
I did. I had no choice, really. Because
And so it's up to you to prepare financially in case something like that happens.
well, at that time, we were in pretty good shape financially. So what happened then? We decided to make our move to Florida, and that's when we did. It was in 1972, I believe. So we packed up, kids, sold the house up there, came down here, settled in Fort Lauderdale. Got myself a couple of lawnmowers and a couple of edges, and got somebody else to work for me, and I started my little lawn pushing,
But
cutting grass.
for the viewers, I'm so glad you said that, because going from being a Wall Street trader, which sounds like a prestigious job, whether you think it was or not, it sounds
was.
that way.
It was.
To then saying, you know what, it's up to me. I can't do this anymore. I have to go into a different line of work. He had to relocate from New York City to, at that time, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, starting a lawn maintenance company. You do what you have to do.
Absolutely. It's put food on the table, took care of the kids.
And you have 4 kids.
No, 3.
3.
Please, don't give me another one. Those three are enough. But God bless them. I love them and everything else.
3 kids, and they're still over in Fort Lauderdale.
Yes, they are.
The other side, for those of you around the world that don't know Florida, that's the other side of the state, straight 2 hours east of us.
That's the. Let me put it to you this way. That's wait a minute. It's either the red side or the blue side. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, I go by the sand. Over there is the brown, crunchy sand, and on our side is the white, crystal white, soft sand.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that's about it, you know. And what made people don't expect, when everything is going along great, and all of a sudden things change, and you have to make a decision. It's not that easy. I mean, believe me, I didn't make it. It wasn't a snap decision.
Right.
And it wasn't an easy decision.
Right.
But it's something that had to be done. I just, I talked it over with my wife, and she agreed with me, and that's what we did.
So, to the viewers, I must say again, as you guys are sick of hearing me here, but those of you that subscribe to the channel do it for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that you fall down, it's how you get yourself up, is one of my cliches.
Mm-hmm.
Use the cane, avoid the pain, is another one of my cliches.
There you go.
I used my cane to get over here, and I did not fall down into a drainage ditch, and I will use it to head out of here. Guide dogs, we both talked about that. Kind of came to the same conclusion. Doesn't mean it's right for everyone, but in both of our cases, it just so happened that way. We both put thought into where we moved to when we learned what was happening visually. And somehow we both ended up within 3 streets of each other here in the same neighborhood in Naples, Florida. And you're a very inspirational man, Frank.
Thank you.
I can only wish to be a third of the guy you are.
Oh, you would. Oh, come on.
When I'm your age. Not to say you're old.
Are you kidding? I am old.
But Usher Syndrome, I'm dealing with retinitis pigmentosa and MS. A little different, but do either of us seem like we're feeling sorry for ourselves and depressed? And this isn't an act, it wasn't rehearsed. This is just another day in our lives here in Naples Park, North Naples, Florida, with Belle. And life is good today, living the dream. Love you guys. Remember the email address if you want to get in touch with me for future episodes. It's getyourselfup1@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. Hopefully good things.
Hopefully.
And thank you, Frank, for taking the time to do this. Let me shake your hand.
I just hope we helped a couple of the people out there to realize that all is not lost.
Take it from the man.
Well,
Just a couple people, even if just a couple people get it, then it's worthwhile. All is not lost. I'm loving my life. Frank's loving his life. He's got a beautiful house here. It's fully paid for.
thank God.
Yeah, that was episode 10 of season 1, I believe. It's all about the money. You need to be prepared. It's on you. Don't count on the government to take care of you, and don't even count on the spouse necessarily to take care of you, because if you get divorced, you have to regroup from that. So it's, look out for yourself, take care of yourself. Take it from a Wall Street trader who did it for himself, and me, a teacher whose mom was a business teacher who taught me and pounded into my head what I needed to do with my money when I got old. So anyway, again, it's been a pleasure. And until next time, you guys take it easy. Our Peters are the best.
Down, get yourself up off the ground. And since you know the pain has its own path, just be strong because pain won't last forever.
Today, are you feeling a little alone? People's true colors are starting to show. Did you get dumped by that special someone? Or much worse off, did you lose a dear loved one? So are you feeling really down today? Cause you just learned your best friend passed away. Yet all the bullies are having a parade, and you feel like no one will ever come to your aid. Infuriated, incapacitated, so deflated, frustrated, and often just hated. Unappreciated and unmotivated, so alienated, just plain devastated. Hurt's been confiscated, feel so separated. Life's too complicated, rather just get sedated. It's not that you fall down, it's how you get yourself up. Get yourself up, 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 get yourself up. So I don't like the way that I look today. Consider myself lucky, worse could be on the way. So I think about those who are really in need, and I try to help them out as I rethink my greed. Intrinsic motivation is all that it takes, so I don't wait for others to fix my mistakes. Don't wait for an invitation, it won't arrive. It's only up to me to make myself feel alive. Infuriated, incapacitated, so deflated, frustrated, and often just hated. Unappreciated and unmotivated, so alienated, just plain devastated. Hurt's been confiscated, feel so separated. Life's too complicated, rather just get sedated. It's not that you fall down, it's how you get yourself up. Get yourself up, 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 get yourself up. You got some really sad news with a really heavy heart. You're keeping it all inside yourself, and it's starting to tear you apart. If your friends don't help you with serious stuff, they're probably not real friends at all. Look in the mirror and then ask yourself, are you really heeding my call? So be the good friend you know you should be. There are people worse off than you'll ever be. They need your help, so lend them a hand. Then someone will help you and you'll understand. So elevate, invigorate, whatever their problem, help dominate. Someday looking down from up above, it's not how they fall, it's how you help them up. Get yourself up, get yourself up.